Good morning, everybody. My name is Sol Bouquet, and today is Wednesday, the 13th of March, 2024. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate your viewership. Appreciate you being here. Today, I'm actually on my second cup of coffee. I'm drinking just straight black coffee from the Keurig. It's a little bit rough, but we do what we can to make it through. I just want to thank you so much for being here this morning. A little bit of a later start, but hope we caught you early enough just to kind of walk you through what today is going to look like in terms of weather, catch you up on the news. Thank you so much for being here. This episode is sponsored by the subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe the video. Also, click the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future content. And if you want to sponsor an episode of Good Morning Everybody, reach out to me at contactgoodmorningeverybody@gmail.com. We can start a conversation about what that would look like. In the meantime, the subscribe button will suffice. Make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with all the stuff that we're doing. But we are going to start off with today's moment in history. Today, actually, in 1781, William Herschel discovered Uranus. I'm a bit of a child, and this did make me giggle a little bit. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But on a more serious note, the German-born English astronomer William Herschel discovered Uranus, the seventh planet from the sun. Herschel's discovery of the new planet was the first to be made in modern times, actually, which I didn't know that, and also the first to be made by use of a telescope. Very interesting, which allowed Herschel to distinguish Uranus as a planet, not a star, as previous astronomers believed. So I guess people thought that Uranus was a star. Anyway, moving on. Moving on to other things today. We are going to talk about the weather today. I do want to make sure that our commuters are up to date at what precipitation is looking like. It's actually looking kind of sparse today. So it's looking like parts of the Midwest are going to be undergoing a little bit of rain, a little bit of spotty showers here and there, as well as parts of the Oklahoma, Arkansas area. It looks like we're going to get some precipitation. Other than that, though, pretty clear skies. I mean, we're looking at the actual weather forecast here, and it's looking like we have some sleet and snow coming down from Canada, but other than that, we have pretty open skies today. Temperature-wise, too, we were actually a little bit warmer today at one point, but I think temperatures are dropping a little bit. We're looking at more like, it looks like 40s, mid-40s at the highest right now for your commute. So make sure you bundle up, actually. A small hoodie even, I think, will suffice. Northeast seaboard, we're looking at sort of mid to low 40s. And that cold front coming down from Canada, man, especially the Midwest area and towards the western seaboard even, looking at more like 20 degrees, which is crazy to think about. I thought spring was here, but I guess we're still kind of waiting for it to happen. But having said that, we do have a lot of things that I want to talk about today. And the first is, of course, on a more sort of, on a more political level. We have President Joe Biden, who actually secured the Democratic nomination that happened late last night. He has secured enough delegates so that the Democratic Party is now supporting him. Now, of course, that does come at a sort of weird time for President Biden. This article, despite the fact that it's sort of rallying behind him as the new Democratic nominee, it does mentioned that the approval ratings right now aren't really the best for Biden. People are really especially put off by how old he is. And, I'm the last person to make any judgment calls based off of how old a person is, whether young or old. But it is a fact of the matter that, we have an older president. And this news, the securing of the Democratic nomination is coming hot off the heels of the Hur trial that recently happened. We had special counsel Robert Hur testifying on whether or not Biden did actually sort of illegally hold on to some more classified documents. That's been going on for a little bit now, but to kind of put it into as few words as possible, Hur was basically leading up an investigation to see whether or not there was beyond a reasonable doubt that Biden had transferred classified documents and held on to classified documents that he was not allowed to hold on to. The long story short of that is that Hur did a pretty good job of running down the middle. He presented the information that he had found during his investigation very candidly and very openly without bias, at least according to what I can see. He played it very straight, at least that's what the article here says. He found that there was not enough evidence to convince him beyond a reasonable doubt that Biden had concealed the transferring of some more classified documents. There was evidence that had happened, but it was nothing really beyond, at least according to her, a more forgetful president, maybe not keeping track of documents the way that he should. And so he's not really exonerating Biden from the mishandling of classified documents, but he's also not bringing any charges because there's not enough evidence. He was very good about kind of running that middle line and being like, hey, like, I think something did happen, but it's really not enough. Now, of course, because of that, he received backlash on both ends of the candle. Democrats, of course, were sort of there was an outcry democratically to, along the lines of this man saying that the president is maybe a little bit more forgetful, maybe a little bit older. They were sort of grilling him as to why he would, say that to the current president, to which he basically just said, I'm just presenting the evidence that I found. And then, of course, on the more Republican side of questioning, people were asking him, hey, why aren't you pressing charges? Clearly, he mishandled some more classified documents, to which he said, I'm presenting the information as I found it, and there's not enough of it. So from a legal standpoint, I think he did a very good job because he presented the facts of the case and he stood by the information that he was able to collect, and there wasn't enough of it to bring any charges, and there wasn't no information either, if that makes sense. And so the Hur case is pretty cut and dry. As of right now, it looks like it is concluded and there are no charges being brought, but he doesn't exactly exonerate Biden in his findings either. And so it's sort of a mixed bag, unfortunately. But again, that is more political news on the U.S. front. If you have any questions or if you want to start a discussion, please feel free to do that in the comments below. Also, like every other video, all of the sources that I used to collect that information are going to be linked down in the description. Please feel free to read these articles for yourself, make your own conclusions, ask questions, start conversations. That's what this channel is here for. So thank you for that. We are going to move on to some more uplifting news, though. So we actually have a couple interesting stories, and I want to talk a little bit more about this because it's more of my take on a story that has been around for a little bit now, and it's been a developing story. But up until recently, we didn't have the sort of final update for this. But I do want to talk about there's a story. There's a Burger King worker that has been working at his local Burger King for about 27 years, not missing a single day, on time, showing up to work his job at Burger King 27 years in a row. It's a long time to be working at Burger King. And apparently, this gentleman, his reward for showing up to his job, not missing a day for 27 years, was the Burger King gave him a mini celebration, which included a gift of a Starbucks reusable tumbler, a bag of Reese's candy, pens, and 2 rolls of Lifesavers and other small items. Far be it from me to be like, hey, maybe a little bit more of a celebration, maybe like a big bonus or something, maybe a pay raise. I mean, Burger King's a pretty large corporation. I think they can get away with maybe treating an employee that's been with them for over 25 years without really missing a day. However, I'm not alone in that sentiment, regardless of whether or not it's right, because his daughter, this gentleman, who I believe his name is Kevin Ford, this gentleman, his daughter started a GoFundMe, which raised over $450,000. And with that money, he was able to actually buy a house. This Burger King employee was able to become a homeowner, something that he himself said that he wouldn't have considered possible. And so, because of that, he himself said it's a modest abode, which I think that's, he doesn't have to necessarily qualify to a home's a home, but having said that, it's something that he didn't think he'd be able to do, especially working at Burger King. And that does sort of, for me at least, spawn a larger conversation. We're living in a day and age, and I'm sorry if I get a little bit op-edy with this. We're living in a day and age where people used to be able to in the American economy work a sort of minimum wage or manual labor, or sort of like, I don't want to say menial, that sounds very bad. People were able to work pretty much any job in America and be able to not only afford adequate housing, food, but they were also able to save and set themselves up for a bit of a retirement, set their children up for school, for furthering education. We don't live in that economy anymore. I mean, I think it's fair to say, regardless of what you believe politically, that we live in a much different economic environment. You're not able to work at Burger King, a fast food joint, any minimum wage job, and support yourself while also saving and building equity, like getting a home and having property. You're not really able to do that anymore. So it took this man's daughter creating a GoFundMe where nationally and probably internationally, frankly, people were able to contribute to him. It took that for this man who's been working at this job faithfully and consistently for 27 years to be able to afford a home. Now, granted, the argument can be made, why doesn't he move on and do something else? Why doesn't he try to invest in himself and do other things that are a little bit more maybe like higher paying, or move on to something at a higher level? But that's kind of semantics. I mean, anyone can do that. He chose not to, whether it be because he loves his job or he feels like he can move up within the Burger King ranks. It doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is that we're living in a very different economy. You used to be able to do that. You used to be able to work a menial job, a minimum wage job, and afford everything you need, as well as help the people around you and build equity in yourself. But you can't really do that anymore. So I am very glad that it worked out for Kevin Ford, but he's kind of the rare exception, unfortunately. Not everyone's going to be able to start a GoFundMe and raise enough money to be able to afford a house and pay it off flat, So very interesting story. Very happy for Kevin Ford. It's a very heartwarming story, but it also sort of brought with it another conversation that I couldn't help but think about, which was, the current economic situation we live in. I hope things change. I hope everybody is able to afford adequate and safe housing, but that's not really the times we live in. So having said that, though, we are going to move on to even more heartwarming news, because it's something that I really wanted to talk about. I saw this. It's a little bit more hyper local. It's not at a national level, but there is a township in New Jersey. Let's take a look here. Yeah. Township in New Jersey, county in New Jersey, that is actually taking the homelessness problem head on and trying to work with the local homeless people to not only set themselves up for a better future, but also to give them housing and jobs. There is a activist group called the Volunteers of America, which is in the Delaware Valley, and they're working together with Camden County to create a program called the Work Now program. This program works directly with local homeless populations to give them the opportunity to help clean up the area, earn money while doing it, as well as get provided to them a free lunch. This program has also helped other people within that program to go on to eventually get full-time jobs, which have allowed them to sort of break free from their current status. There is a gentleman who was interviewed, David Williams, who was a part of the program, and now he has a full-time job and he's able to take care of himself. It may seem like a pretty small program or a pretty local program, but it's really cool to see people actively taking the issue of homelessness, especially the rising issue of homelessness in America on the whole. They're taking it at a local level, going, how can I help the people directly around me? I know it's a national problem, but I want to help the people that are right in front of me. And it's really cool to see people doing that. So good on Camden County for taking the onus on that and for beginning this program. It looks like it's already helped quite a bit of people. I mean, we're talking about 85 individuals have participated, and 15 of those people have now created a stable income for themselves. 5 of which have landed full-time jobs. That's a pretty good conversion. And so, it may not seem like many people, but a difference made is still a difference made, and it does add up at the national level. And so if we saw more counties doing this, I really think we'd see a change nationally. Very cool to see. Good on Camden County for taking responsibility and for making headway with that. That's wonderful. I do want to talk about a couple other things. We're coming up on the Artist Highlight and the Small Creator Club. I do want to preface it by saying, if you're wearing headphones, please lower the volume, because I have tried to lower the volume on this video, but this gentleman is very excitable. This is coming from Las Vegas Bartender on Instagram. Just have a look. I just couldn't believe this when I saw it.
Chickens. Let's make it 4. 12 waffles. 24 syrup right on top. 4 hot dogs. Pepperoni pizza. Cheese pizza. Eggs. The vegetables. French baguette.
Well then, so today's artist highlight is Las Vegas Bartender, creating just the craziest content that I've seen in a long time. I've seen him circulating on Instagram before, but I just this one came across my feed like yesterday, and I was just like, I have to share this with the show. So make sure you follow him on Instagram. He's going to be linked down below in the description. Again, that's Las Vegas Bartender on Instagram. We are going to move on to the Small Creator Club. Very excited about this one, actually. So found this channel on YouTube, and they do sort of like old school speed running reviews, as well as speed runs of older games. Very interesting channel. If you're into sort of niche speed running communities, I would definitely recommend subscribing and showing some love. This is Fitter Space on YouTube. Fitter Space on YouTube. Going to be linked down below at Fitter Space on YouTube. But let's watch a little bit of this, because I think it's very nostalgic. It makes me like, it reminds me of like Inside Gaming in some ways. It's sort of like the older Machinima-esque content. But yeah, let's have a look at this.
What you're seeing right now is a perfect example of why I love speedrunning 007 Nightfire. It's fast-paced, exciting, and there's a ton of variety. Every level is unique, and getting good at each one requires practice and dedication. There are on-foot action levels, stealth levels, fast-paced driving levels, some on-rails missions here and there to break up the action, and the subject of today's video, a slow-paced water level called Deep Descent.
I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to spoil the video, but just a phenomenal storyteller, very soothing to listen to, really interesting content. It reminds me of Nakey Jakey kind of mixed with like the older Machinima content. Really recommend it. Go show him some love. Severely underrated, not even at 700 subs. Get him to 1,000. Fitter Space on YouTube. Make sure you check him out. I think it's some phenomenal content. With that being said, we're going to move on to the quote of the day. We're going to end this on a high note. Quote of the day. My religion is very simple. My religion is kindness. And that is from the Dalai Lama. I think that's a really wonderful quote. I absolutely, regardless of where you sort of fall politically or religiously, I think that just being kind to your fellow man is what really binds us together. You know, we saw that with Camden County's Work Now program, just being kind to the people that are less fortunate in your area and trying to give them more opportunity. So yeah, wonderful quote. Thank you, Dalai Lama, for that. Having said that, we are going to end the show on a high note. I want to actually reread the affirmations from yesterday because I need them again today. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So be kind to yourself. Drink plenty of water if you're able, and get outside if you're able. Most of all, keep your chin up. Every day that you wake up is a victory. You're already winning if you're watching this. And if you're a winner, then there's nothing you can't do. So whatever your goal is, whatever your dreams are, chase them. Run after them, because it's only a matter of time before they become reality. So I'm just going to leave you with that. Keep your chin up. Get outside if you can. It's getting a little bit warmer, I think, today beyond this morning. But, if you're able to get some sunshine, I highly recommend. Vitamin D is good for you. Having said that, we're going to close out the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big thanks to our producers here. If you want to become a producer on the show, please feel free to check out the Patreon linked right there. It's also going to be linked in the description below. I just want to say that if you do join the Patreon, you're going to get access to exclusive content, merchandise drops, community live streams found nowhere else, as well as just BTS content and a bunch of other shenanigans that I'm going to upload to the Patreon. So if you want to become a producer on the show, feel free to check out the Patreon linked below. And of course, if you have art or if you have a channel that you want to share with us, you want to see that highlighted here like we highlighted the two today, please feel free to reach out to me at goodmorningsubmissions@gmail.com. That's goodmorningsubmissions@gmail.com. It's going to be linked down in the description as well. And of course, if you want to sponsor an episode of Good Morning Everybody, feel free to reach out to me at contact@goodmorningeverybody@gmail.com. With that being said, I want to thank you so much for being a wonderful person. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go out and share kindness today with your fellow man. Peace out. Have a great rest of the day.